Hey guys, it's Casual Friday. That means it's Nancy Matt's Friday, and today's topic is making a promise and your deceased loved ones hear you. We'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust, turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Hey everybody, happy Friday. How's everybody doing? Closer and closer to Christmas. Closer. I hope you said you're doing okay. I think you said you're doing okay. Excuse me for the crunch. I've just got a real thin sliver of my Jolly Rancher left. I love Jolly Ranchers. In fact, I'm going to be doing a TikTok featuring Jolly Ranchers probably this weekend. So we'll see if I get around to it. And a quick reminder about tomorrow evening. Starting at 6 p.m. tomorrow, I will be constructing a gingerbread house live on TikTok. So if any of you have a TikTok account or want to get one, come on over and watch me do this live. I might even do it on StreamYard. We'll see how it goes. But I've only got one phone, so I can only do so much. Anyway, my name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, based out of Sacramento, California. We're 45 strong up and down the state, which means if you have a paranormal need, we can get to you. It might take us a couple days because California is this ginormous state, but we will get to you. In the case that we can't get to you right away, we have psychics on staff who could phone you and talk to you about what may or may not be going on in your place of residence or business or wherever you're having the issues. And in most cases, they can calm the energy down and give us time to get out there. And it's not like it's going to take us a week or anything like that to get out there. We'll get out there within the first 1 or 2 days after you contact us. Okay, that being said, if you're watching from Facebook tonight and you like what you hear and see, please be sure to hit that follow button and show us some love. Give us some thumbs up, happy faces, hearts, all that good stuff. Also comment over the comment section, because what that does is it puts us higher in Facebook's FYP, and it gets the attention of the bigwigs, and so they distribute us out to more people. Same thing with YouTube; it works the same. Come on over if you're watching from our YouTube page. Show us some love. Same thing, thumbs up, happy faces, hearts. FYP, it's all about the FYP. Comment, same thing happens. And if you haven't done so already, feel free to subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe over there. And if you start poking around, you're going to notice that we have more than 800 videos sitting over there. They're all this show. And there are some ghost investigation stuff too. But they're in categories. So if you're into Nancy Matz and you want to hear more of her shows, just head on over to that folder and click on that sucker, and it just pops right up, just like with the cryptid folder and the UFO folder and all alien abductions and all that good stuff. So check out our YouTube page as well. Now, if you want to find us, there's multiple places to find us. You can find us on Facebook under California Haunts Radio, California Haunts Ghostly Events. You can find us under Sacramento Seers, SEERS. You can find us under my name. You can find us on Instagram under Ghosty Gal. You can find us over at YouTube under California Haunts. TikTok, we are California Haunts. YouTube, we're also California Haunts Radio. So you get us under either. Twitch. I remember these things. Twitch, we are Cal Haunts. Okay. So those, like I said, there's multiple ways to find us. We are everywhere. We're even on Meetup. If you haven't got a Meetup account yet, that's a freebie too as well. And we do a lot of events, and they're advertised mainly on Meetup. And that's would be California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team at meetup.com. Okay. Speaking of which, guys, I'm going to be posting this tonight over at the Meetup. Nancy and I are doing a quickie event. And what I mean by quickie event is it's going to be a quick turnaround, a week from Sunday. we're going to sit down with you guys and do some readings. Okay, but what these readings are, if you're into this sort of thing, is that winter solstice is starting, and it's starting, I believe, on the 21st is when it starts, and we're going to be sitting down on the 17th. Because what winter solstice is, it's kind of like the new year. It's out with the old, in with the new. So if you have like old business that you haven't come to terms with or finished off with, we can talk about that, or we can talk about your future. We can talk about your future, and what that entails is that it's a psychic reading, and we're going to take up to 10 guests, and we might split it into two shows, or I mean two sections. We're going to do one, I know for sure, at 6 p.m. Pacific on Sunday, a week from Sunday. And then if we do split it up, we'll probably do another one at maybe do a 2 hour stretch and take a break, like a 5 minute break in between, and then have the next group come in behind that. But uh, we'd like to do a reading for you, like reading to clear things up for you for the solstice in the coming new year. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, tonight, 10 p.m. Pacific, head on over to the California Haunts meetup page and sign up over there. And hopefully by tomorrow morning, midday tomorrow, I'll have it up on the California Haunts Radio website. So yeah, so come on over and do that. It's $20 for the reading, and you're going to get it. You're probably going to get close, maybe to a 5-10 minute reading out of it, and you can ask anything you want. Unlike when we have these short question and answers here, you can ask anything you want, and Nancy will discuss it with you. You might even have one of your deceased relatives pop in, and Nancy will talk about that as well. So if that sounds like something you're interested in to start off the new year and the solstice with, come on over and join us a week from Sunday. All right, tonight we've got an interesting topic, and I gotta laugh about this because there was a Frasier episode. I love Frasier, and there was this episode, but it didn't have quite to do with this topic tonight. But it was interesting because Niles had just gone through open heart surgery, and he made all kinds of promises to the people upstairs and his deceased relatives and stuff, and he wondered if they had heard him. And Frasier had done the same thing, and it was funny because he made these promises, and when he had to break one, of course the lightning storm came and all that. It made him nervous. So it kind of had to do with this topic, and it didn't. But it's just kind of funny that we're talking about this tonight, about you know promises you make, and do your deceased relatives hear them? I believe they do. I've had a lot of experience here, with my my deceased family, and I do believe they hear you. I do believe that. But I think Nancy's got more information for us about that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Nancy in and let her talk about that, and we'll see what Nancy's been up to. All right, here we go.
Oh, I love it. What have I been up to? Well, actually have had this on my Word up. I've been typing on this for a couple of days, and I realized you've only have about 2.5 to 3 pages actually, and that's because I've enlarged the print so I can see the screen. This is touching at this time of year, and I felt it was appropriate. I also had a client 2 days ago, and if she's watching, I will send the email off to you on some of the links I promised you. uh, it's a sentimental time. I know that most of us, I would say 95% of us, have had spirit people around us and not know and know. We've had relatives that pass away the last year, 2 years, and Shar has pretty much topped the numbers of the people I've talked to. But at the same time, it's unfortunate that I don't want to be sensitive about this. We all lose people. And even in my family, Karen, in my family, one of the grandchildren, little girl, she must watch a show or something. She's only 5, and she's talking about dying all the time. Oh, you're going to die. You're old, or how do people die? It's like very touching to me and very curious. Topic of 5-year-old. You don't know if it's a past life thing or she's worried about family members leaving. And we get to a place of realizing that us old folks, I told my daughter this, I says, us old folks, we have to step aside. We have to make room for the upcoming. And for me to be greedy and say, well, I just want to live forever, that's greedy. I'm breathing air that they need. And yet you'll say to me, well, my relative was too young, 30, 50, 40, well, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And even at 80, 90, 102, someone left the other day, very well known producer of TV shows, and we're all grieving. Sorry, they're probably rejoicing. They finally say, the family of that gentleman say, well, finally he's here. Yet we still miss him. And I imagine people in industry, movie industry, are probably saying, boy, I sure need some advice of this guy. Well, he was in the industry so long that he will
Mhm.
be giving advice. And will you hear it? Will you know it? Or will you be asking? I want to cover a few things that perhaps you've already been doing, you want to do. And I always do this show with the intent of maybe bringing up something that you haven't thought about. And the other thing, too, I was typing a little note to Shar. Usually I have too many pages. I have to talk really fast. Some of these topics I probably could write a small book about. Yet I hold back because who wants to read about every little topic? And these shows are a platform where I can
Mhm.
talk about some of the things I've put up with, I've dealt with over these years, decades, 3 decades now. And with sympathy, I grieve like you do. I miss my father. He was killed at 33. Yet it changed my entire life because we relocated from Los Angeles to Northern California, where I ended up meeting my husband, and we had wonderful children. So the divine stepped in and readjusted. There was a near death experience. Oh, I knew there was something I wanted to find. I enjoy near death experiences when I accidentally come across, I'll watch them. And this gentleman said they had a near death experience. And in that experience, he went into the new in between place. So he passed over and became involved with this landscape that was very unusual. And he heard a voice, but in front of him was a box and had um, like the insides of a clock, but larger and like a computer. And there was wheels and wheels and wheels and wheels. Put my hands down, Nancy. And I thought, oh, this is a different aspect of what it was. And he had had a terrible accident. Plane crashed into the ground. It was a small plane. And he came out of it with a lot of injuries. They put him in a 7-day coma just to get him stable. And he had injuries to his center, ribs and all kinds of stuff. And he said that even in the in between life, he knew he'd been injured. But these wheels, these intricate pieces that were rotating, you can almost imagine 10 clocks all put together, and it was a box. And he just felt like he wanted to touch one. And he touched one, and they all blew apart. And then they came together, and they were readjusting. And the man was taken back. He just wanted to touch one. And he was
Mhm.
so taken back. He says, oh, what have I done? What have I done? And the gentleman said, you took out a bad decision. And now your future is being recalculated. So at that point, the gentleman knew he was going to go back. He wasn't allowed to move forward. And it wasn't like he was an individual that had a lot of regrets. It was just
Mhm.
that in our lives, every one of us have looked back and said, oh, I wish I hadn't said it like that.
Mhm.
Or if I had made that choice differently, or I wish I hadn't made that choice.
Mhm.
And a lot of us are in conflict, not all the time, but human beings are programmed to worry and doubt and be in fear. And that's survival instincts from the caveman days. Only little babies have the only fear they have is falling out of the mother's arms, falling on the ground. That's what we're born with. And so the other fears are introduced to us by other people in our modern age. It's movies. My husband loves all the bang up, shoot 'em up, fearful things that I saw happen in the streets, I would go, "Oh my gosh, how do you get away from this kind of stuff?" But some people are gravitated to be entertained by that. That's perfectly all right. But most of us live with the fear of making the wrong choice, of hampering our lives, of hurting ourselves, and I think that in some way keeps us on the path of not righteousness or anything, but we don't want to put ourselves in conflict. And so, and sometimes, and I know every one of us said, you'll sit back and go, gee, I need some help. This is like terrible. And so I would like to now get my little spiel. So let's go on. But I would like to introduce an idea. Happy Friday. Um, Pretty soon I won't be able to see the comments, everybody, because I'll be clicking on words. So Karen's in the room, and of course I adore her. She's lovely. There seems to be somebody in Facebook, possibly. I don't know who's live, but I feel like there's someone grieving. In fact, two. One's a dog, and I feel like somebody's grieving a mother. If you're in a place where you can tap into this, how do I pick this up? Well, because someone's thinking very strongly. I wish I could talk to her because I know she talks to dead people. Um, and so I can feel it. No, it's not always the best. Do I block it? I can't always because you're so strong. You're so in grievance. And sometimes when we have a visual of somebody, and Shar talked about this, she felt somebody, Shar, I'm not going to say who it is, felt somebody in a presence. And we do. It's hard to us to say, no, we don't want to have anybody in our energy field. But I can feel it. I picked it up before we even started. I picked up an animal, possibly dark color, possibly a dog. Of course, cats could be larger and whatever. But if someone can get in the room, if you have a question, I'll be willing to answer some of these questions. Many of you know my story. I was working Pacific Bell, and I was in the year 22, my 22nd year of working Pacific Bell. I had cancer at 39. I got divorced about 6 months later. I left my husband, got divorced. I worked out Auburn, California, and I drove down to Watt Avenue baseline area. And this was in, I was got cancer in 87, left my husband in 88. Moved to around the local, but I bought a house in 89 in Watt Avenue, Black Eagle Drive, PFE, Sacramento address. So anybody who knows those areas might be familiar. So I had quite a long drive, 45 minutes. In those years, the traffic wasn't quite as bad. I had a Toyota Corolla, a smaller car, and I was driving home, and I had just been to the doctor's. It had been a year and a half, and I was pretty elated. The doc said, well, we're going to monitor you every 6 months for 2 years, and then every couple of years. And if you can make 5 years, that's really good. If you can make 15, you're better. And I was like, I couldn't quite comprehend that. It seemed like, you mean I'm not going to be safe for 15 years? When I got cancer in 87, unfortunately, chemotherapy killed people. And I was on the border of needing it. They said, well, we have to make a decision. And I was only 39. And so they didn't want to risk it. And so I always felt like I had democracy's a sword hanging over my head. And that's one reason I wanted a fresh start. And we married young. We drifted apart. There was issues, you have to do that. And so coming home, I was driving from Auburn to my house, new house. I just brand new home. And I was crying. I thought, I can't believe I'm going to live. And that time I was really sucked into an idea. Well, I'll just work for a telephone company. I'll probably meet a nice engineer. I was in management. Was I? Yeah, I was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I thought I'd meet a nice engineer and start life with someone new. Okay. And I realized, what am I going to do now? I'm working at a telephone company. I felt like I would. And then in the car, I said out loud, I was so grateful I was so grateful that I was going to get to live. And I was so grateful that I had the kahunas to leave a 21-year marriage. We had everything. I had as much money as I ever need. Women, we get a great house. We want to stay in it type of thing. And I gave up everything. And so I said to the universe, I was holding down still, and I was just crying my eyes out. I was so happy that the doc said I probably could live, And I said, thank you for my life and my sanity. And if you wish, I will work for you the rest of my life. Well, gives me goosebumps. Sorry, everybody. I was holding well. All of a sudden, the inside the car went like this. And I looked around. I was on the freeway. There wasn't anything on the road that would interfere with the tires. It was smooth, but the reverberation of the inside of the car. I sat up and I went, what was that? That was April. Let's see, that was May 1st, 1990. May 4th. No, sorry, it was April 30th. It was actually on my birthday. I was saying this, April 30th, 1990. The following Friday, I was at work and I just felt still elated. And I felt like someone had said, somehow I got the idea, we'll go to Sunrise Mall. And I go, oh, yes. Anybody know Sunrise Mall? At the time, it was the place to go. And in 1989, um, it was so out in the country. The civilization hadn't built up. It was like going out in the country, go to this great big mall. Of course, it's the center of town now. I went shopping. I got into the mall. And what happened was I walked maybe 4 stores, and all of a sudden I had this jerk on me like this. And I go, what? And I had the feeling I had to leave. And I go, I just got here. I'm talking to nobody, right? And I says, I have to leave. And I went, I have to leave? Duh. And every time I took a step, I was being held like stepping in molasses. So I got my car and I go, well, I'm done shopping, I guess. I'm not so manipulative, but this urge was like when I was in Farrell's ice cream parlor. Everybody knows the September of 72, the universe told me to leave. And as soon as my daughter and my sister left, a plane crashed into the building, killed 22 people at a birthday party. Same kind of energy. Wow, like this. So I got in and I wanted to go home one way, and the universe kept telling me, go this way, go that way. And I hadn't realized how powerful that prayer was. And this is what I want to talk about, that prayer. And it's on my website, nancymatzpsychic.com. By the way, that's being remodeled as soon as I get where I can see better. I had my eyes worked on. I'm so blurry. But as soon as I can, I got probably 3 or 4 more weeks at least. So Shar knows this. We're both revealing websites, by the way. And so I was directed to go to the Spirit of Grace, the street on Auburn Boulevard, across on the Sylvan Cemetery. And that was where the first day of the rest of my life, that was Friday night, May 4th, 1990. And I pulled in the parking lot. I went, I don't recognize this part of town. I did know it, but I didn't want to. You ever see these little tiny houses, 800 square feet, and the Madonna's in the window lit up? I went, where am I? And the pastor runs out and he says, waving his arms, 6 foot something guy waving his arms. I'm going, excuse me, roll that window up. I'm getting out of here. And he says, wait a minute, you're supposed to be here. I go, I am? Come on in. And I saw a demonstration of psychometry that night. And it was the first day I witnessed the first reading. And as he got information, so did I. And I jumped up after he was done and I went, wow, I got this information. I ended up reading 8 people that night. Never done it before. Within a month, I had 30 people every night. Within a couple months, I had 40, 50. And that's what happens when the universe hears you. So I want to go through some of the steps. I will cover it. And Shar is going to monitor the chat room to see if there's any questions. And I love doing this, everybody. I'm so proud of the hard steps that we have to take sometimes, because 2 years after, a year and a half after I got into the Universal Christ Master Spiritualist Church, it was February, and I was driving the car home one night, and Spirit said to me, "Get your ministry." I go, huh? What? And I talked to Ken and Ollie, and they were Christ-based, which was fine, but they didn't believe in reincarnation, and they didn't believe in other things. And I thought to myself, well, I've been seeing this. I was doing readings, very active, children saying their grandpa, and there was other things. So I got my ministry of a lady out of Florida whose brother opened a spiritual church in Sedona, Arizona. So I was got my ministry out at Church of Living God, Sedona, Arizona. And February, that was end of February, March the next year. And so that's how everything started for me. But when I talk about making pledges, it doesn't have to be as profound as mine. It could be something that's much at a lower level of satisfaction. But I want you to visualize this box if you were standing in front of your life and it was representative of wheels and pulleys and all kinds, look like a big watch inside. And if you could
Mhm.
touch one thing in the future that you know isn't going to be good for you, would you do it? Or how can we change our path? And then you might say, well, Nancy, you read me for 25, 30 years out. Do we have a chance to change it? You know what? I don't know, but I do believe, and this happened recently. A lady in Kentucky, I saw her getting a job in Virginia, and she went for interviews, invited her girlfriend to go for interviews. Guess what? The girlfriend got the job and she didn't. And then her brother called up from Florida and said, why don't you move to Florida? Well, I never saw Florida. I see Virginia. So she has a chance to take a diversion down the road to have an experience in Florida before the opportunity comes up in Virginia, because I've never not seen that. So I'm not positive I know what variations we have. Can things
Mhm.
not happen? I hope so. If someone says, Nancy, you're always right, and they always call me up for every little detail, that's a lot of pressure on me, because then I'm asked to live your life. I only do what I do. I only get what I get. And people have heard me say, you want to talk to your spirit people. I'm hoping you're going to ask them to show up, because I certainly can't. Who am I? And there's one lady, she says, is my brother here? Is my father here? Is my mother here? Well, wait a minute. One at a time to see if I can sense them. And a lot of times it's people we want, but most of the time it isn't. And I don't have any control. I'm just a lowly human being that can just do this. And for you who are learning how to be medium or do psychic work, we are a receiver. I tell people I'm a big sponge. Whoop, suck it all in and give it back. I cannot give you what you don't want to receive. And so remember that when we do these readings, can you change your future? I hope so. Can you ask for help? Probably. In reality, you've already done these things, because when I read you years and years and years out, those steps that you're going to make are already done on the path I see for you. Kind of trippy, isn't it? Yes, it is. So part of I doing this, I just happened to have a client who talked to me about talking to deceased family members, and she asked how to do it. This just a couple days ago, before Shar and I, after Shar and I decide what we're going to talk about here, and I found the coincidence. Remember that word, synchronicities and coincidences. And I spoke to her that she was about ready just to start. She eventually wants to do psychic readings, and I go, oh well, let's get it going here. And I mentioned automatic writing. So keep that in mind. Automatic writing is just get a pile of paper. Left hand, right hand, doesn't matter to me. Just do it the best you can. If you're right handed, of course, you're going to have the pen in your hand. Left hand will touch the top left corner of the pad of paper that's loose. Don't have it. Has to be like copy paper, all single sheets. And you just move your whole arm. You don't move your finger. You don't move your wrist. You don't move your elbow. But let them control the arm. And eventually you will see words that come up. And that's a first, I think that's a really good first step, because you're not trying to own getting it. You're allowing you to receive it. So, so the thing I want to get to, client asked about talking communication with spirit, automatic writing. And I asked her to get used to the feeling of the arena you are going to be sitting in and the air. Oh, the kitchen table. I says, how many times at the kitchen table did you sit and do anything? She said, blah, blah, blah. And I says, how many times have you sat there and then had perception of the space you're sitting in? Be present. Be mindful of the area you're sitting in. Now, she is married, and I said, you have to do this maybe when Papa's not around, husband, meaning, and just get used to sitting there quietly. Like maybe when everybody's gone to sleep, just slip out of your bed and go into the front room or wherever you want to sit that's quiet, and have a sense of space. And when you do, just relax and have a sense of the air. Now, most of you know I did 6 years of cemetery tours with John Mettencourt at Sacramento City Cemetery. Quite a tough job. We would go out a week ahead of time, and I would give him all this information about every plot he wanted me to talk about. A lot of times he would let me decide. And I would tell him a story about the stone, and he wouldn't even let me look and see who it is. I would be telling him most of the time. I would say half the time I didn't get to see the stone, the names or anything. And he would wait until the night of the tour and then tell everybody I was right or not. And clearly, if I'm doing 5 and 6 tours every summer for 6 years and then he passed away, I must have been right enough, right? So I got to a place of just accepting information. And in those tours, it got to where people would come and say to me, say to John, is Nancy going to show up? Because I want someone to choose me. I want her to choose me to fill a spirit person. And so I would say on the night of the tours, and it was lucky we didn't have a lot of rain. I don't know if Shar came when there was any bad weather, but most of the time it seemed to be good weather, right, Shar? The
Oh
times that
yeah.
you came, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so we would go around and sit. That's how Shar and I met. Little,
Yep.
just a young girl in college when I met her. Anyway, uh, we would be standing around and I'd be seeing the spirit people. And people would say, Nancy's talking to a spirit person, watch her. And I'd be saying, can you stand here for a minute? Or a couple would come from the street dressed in their finery of 1900 or something. And I go, hey, come over here. Let me introduce you. Oh, it's making me laugh. Oh, sorry. Anyway, a few times I would say to the audience, the group that would like to experience that, I said, would you do me a favor and just stand where you are and feel the air? Now, who would like to touch a spirit person? And I couldn't do them all. It was just arbitrary. And I would grab someone's wrist like this. And I'd say, feel the air. What does it feel like? You feel that? You real calm? Then I'd slap it to energize the hand. And I'd go, oh, I feel the air. Yes, I feel cool. They would demonstrate. And then I would take very carefully the same arm and I'd put it inside of a body, a spirit person, a spirit body. And then the eyes would light up. And no, they wouldn't be standing next to a tree. Did have a couple times, but I remember one lady was standing there in the finery of 1900s. And she was doing this. And I grabbed someone's hand. I put her into the chest because she was smaller. And the person's eyes went, whoa. Just wellowed up. And because the electricity of that person is different than the air. There's more to it because we're just energy. And the spirit person would get all jazzed up. And it was like crazy. And I've already told the story, so I'll share it again. Of a lady who brought her dying friend. And the lady was dying of pancreatic cancer, and she had a couple months left. And of the 200, 150, 200 people more that I had on some tours, I picked the dying friend. Now, how did I know, right? And she wrote me a lovely letter. It's at my Nancy Matz testimonials. It's 10, 20, 30 pages. I don't know a lot of pages. So you'd have to find it in there. But the testimonial at the letter, she said, you didn't know my friend was dying. And you, I'm going to cry. And you picked her and you let her feel the energy of a man. And it was one of these big bellied man. And so he was going to be a good, please stand here. And he was going like this too. And she felt this spirit man. And she said to me, I can't believe it, but it's real. And she died only a few weeks later. And that's in the letter this lady wrote to me. It changed me. It's like I'm just a person doing this. And you've heard other people say, I can't believe I just do this. And I've gotten to a place of knowing that I'm an instrument. I'm a tool for the universe. But what it taught me is to be confident that we survive and that we do live on and that there is proof. So I'm saying to you, these spirit people, whether they come into your presence when you're calm and listening or feel you have to know the air. I want you to sit quietly. I would like you to do it for a few days in a row. And then if in those days you get a sense of someone who's deceased, or you ask, Dad, I would love to have you visit me. In those nights when you're quiet, it shouldn't take more than 15, 20 minutes. They will know that you're going to show up. The air will shift, just like in the tours, getting someone's hand and moving it, because I would never touch the hand. I would grab it here. I say, feel the air. What does it feel like? And I would go slow and move it right into the body of a man or woman that's standing, spirit person, everybody. And they would go like this, men and women. Men would raise on them. Like, I'd like to say, hey, this woman, let me have it, prove it to me. And I think there was maybe one person that didn't get it. Well, that's fine. I don't know if Char was at that time, but I remember one man, yeah, the doubt was so big he couldn't reach it. but there were so many people around him who could. Oh, they're just making it up. Well, I don't think so. Marianne Mobley was there with a string of pearls on her face, and Sharp took a picture of her. Hello. Remember that?
Well,
Remember that?
yeah,
Woosley, Marianne Woosley.
William Woosley. Yeah, I got it right next to you, right, sitting on the tombstone.
Right. And I was looking at her going, wonder why she's there. Like, don't you have a better place to go? She had a little string of pearls on. It was darling.
You can see her
Anyway,
cap too because she had a hat
uh-huh.
on. She had this hat on,
hmm
sitting on there too.
So we can see better at a photograph those who don't do this for a living. But if I turn, now I'm not going to turn the switches on while I'm talking to you. Just distract me. I feel Man's in here with me. I'm going, who are you? He's looking over my shoulder, looking at the screen while I'm talking. I go, okay, back off just a little. I feel my mother. That was a woman in here, probably my mother. But this guy's kind of leaning over, looking at the screen. I hope you enjoy this. Anyway, kind of a broader guy. He's older. Oh, are you Bud? Anyway, Bud is the prior owner. He died a few months before we bought the place. But at the same time, when we get used to feeling the air, relaxing, you're changing your vibration, you're anticipate. So unless you're doing automatic writing or you're sitting in contemplation of who's going to be here and what can I ask? So I'm going to be pointing out a few things. That's really important to understand that. They are pure energy and they sometimes will show up like an orb. And then before they present, this fellow here is full bodied. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, it's a light blue color on. Anyway, uh, I'm being distracted. So anyway, that's a good way to start is finding a place in your house that you find sacred, quiet, peaceful, relax. And now remember, you might be in the throes of grief. You may be in the throes of a separation of family, a divorce, and you want comfort. So we're going to move on. In your family, when you think of who you'd like to talk to, you have to make sure they hear you. I always ask my clients, and today was another example. I kept asking the lady, what are people called? And sometimes people have these beautiful names on the birth certificate, but it's not necessarily what we call them in everyday life. Find that name, even if it's dad, like Bud, dad, same together and say, oh, wait a minute, someone's calling me. How many dads are called out there? I want to talk to dad. Well, maybe dad doesn't, how many dads are being called? So sometimes having that first name is really, really important. And then as you want them to show up, I want you to think about the last time you gave them a hug. Did they have a smell to them? Not one of illness. Think of a time when they were healthier, because that's how they'll show up. They won't show up sick. There's a lot of conditions, unfortunately, that has an uncomfortable smell. I have smelt those smells. Somebody in Tucson, I did a house investigation, and the woman had died of cancer. And I was in the house. No, I was remote viewing. Professor Gary Swartz had me do this, and I remember in the presentation I was giving about this woman who died, I could smell her cancer. So I know there's a lot of bad smells out there. Diabetes can have a smell. I don't want you to smell that because I want you to realize they're going to be healthy. Okay. And so I want you to remember them when they weren't ill, if that's how they passed. If it was an accident or just dying of old age, they just peter out. One of my family members hugged me and said, oh, Grandma, you smell so good. Well, it could have been the Irish Spring soap, or it could be bath powder. It could be many things. I wouldn't know what they remember of me, but I've got to keep, if you have a favorite hair shampoo, make sure you always wear it and smell it yourself. So you show up family members, go, oh, it's Grandma. I can smell her hair shampoo. And you want to make sure that you remember those things. Remember how they used to touch you. People say, oh, touch me on the shoulder, or Grandpa touched me on the hair, or Grandma would come up and stroke my cheek. Remember those little things when you want somebody in your life. And where I'm going with this is I want validation that you're talking to the correct person. I want someone that you trust to be safe, someone that you want to talk to. Because if you're going to put a prayer to the universe, you put it to them, or you ask for someone of a higher vibration, you want to make sure you're talking to people that will listen to you and not be Char and I talked about transitory spirits the other day of some, was it you I was talking to or somebody else
Yeah.
about uh, a transitory spirit, and I can't remember what it was, but like, who's that? Well, that's someone just floating around. I don't remember the situation. Sorry, I may have to refresh my memory, but people can be around us, but they could
Mhm.
belong to the family next door.
Mhm.
and the spirit man says, I think I'll just visit everybody in the neighborhood because when I was here before, I didn't. And so people can show up that you don't know, or it's a spirit that had emotional baggage and leave and become a ghost. You don't want any of those kinds of people because they're in turmoil and they'll make you depressed, and you don't want that. Or it's a individual that was not a good person, was afraid to pass over,
Mhm.
and he's staying here. And he's, when I say ghost, sometimes it's a really emotional spirit who's done things in their life they're not happy about, and they're looking for resolution. They're looking for somebody to give them. They're looking for something that we can't give them. So you want to make sure the vibration that you have sitting there relaxed is a positive, uplifting, so that when you feel your family member around,
Mhm.
you know it's them. Now, when I was in the car, I'm not going to say I was speaking directly to the divine because I didn't realize I was. But I feel like we have turning points in all our lives where the universe is waiting for us to acknowledge the next step in our evolution, personal evolution. I think I chose this body to do this work from that time when I was 39, 42 when I entered this environment. 30, let's see, no, I was a little younger than that. 40, I was 40, sorry. Um, Sometimes I lose, what year was it? It was 33 years ago, everybody. 1990. Okay. And, uh, and so sometimes it's, I was speaking sincerely because I couldn't believe I was going to live.
Mhm.
And I was overwhelmed with the idea that I had just started a new path in life. I wasn't married anymore. I unfortunately had to leave a child with the dad. He was only 15. My daughter was out of the house. And I was living in a way that I couldn't envision myself even a year or two
Mhm.
earlier. And I was willing to surrender to the universe in a most humble way. And when I did, there's no way for me to explain what was happening other than the car reverberated blah, 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 like this. And it was not a vibration because it was inside. It was
Mhm.
all around me. And I looked around and went, oh, listen, who was that? It wasn't probably my family members, but the divine
Um,
can be. Go ahead.
yeah, kind of skip back and back, kind of going back on this and the smells that you would recognize, from someone that
Hmm.
passed. My dad, it's cigar smoke because he smoked cigars, but my mother, knowing what I know from doing this for 18 years, I wanted to make sure I knew it was her. I wanted to see if she would come back. And so
Hmm.
after she passed, I did bathe her, and I bathed her in a certain scented soap. And it was funny because this is like probably 2 hours after she passed, and I had people over with
Oh.
me, and we could all smell her. She was there with us.
Oh,
You
I
know,
love that.
yeah.
You told me that before.
And
That's
to
great.
this day, she comes and I can tell it's her because of that particular soap that I used.
What can you share? What brand? What it was?
I was using just a dial soap.
A dial.
It wasn't mint soap. It was a dial soap, but it's got a real nice smell to it. So I bathed her in that, and yeah, I remember people going, "What? You smell that? You smell that? You smell that?" I said, "Yeah, it's my mom. It's my mom."
Now, when I'm talking to you, and we do this often, and we talk about, oh, who's that around you, Shar? Who's it? I can't always smell it, but if you tune into your lives and go, okay, who is
Mhm.
this? They can have it. Look at me, I'm getting all. They do have an aroma. It's quite
Mhm.
amazing. And I was talking to a couple people, and it's not that I'm grieving or anything, but I was an adult before I learned, or I was adult before I really went into a point of grieving when I had my own children. My father was killed when I was 6, and he was only
Mhm.
33. and I'm losing memories. And I was too young to remember a scent. Now, my mother passed away on 9. I know her, and I know her
Mhm.
scent. And I can't tell that woman in here is her. Um, anyway, so anyway, let me go on here. So
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I just
getting
want to add
back
that in.
into, I love it. No, Shar, are you kidding me? Talking these things, So um, I think I love the idea that we have access and we can do this, and I want people to realize that I didn't ask for this. I was born this condition, but doing this and predicted a murder in 84. I saw unborn children in 85, walking next to a parent, a woman who had had 2 boys, was single, didn't have any prospects, but her daughter was walking behind her that she hadn't had yet, spirit child. There's things that we do and we go, oh, I must be nuts. I mean, I'm nuts. I'm not supposed to know this stuff. And yet it did happen. And there was things that my children demonstrated the abilities. And we went, oh, my husband used to say, oh, women's intuition. Well, who knew? And especially in September of 72, when I was in Pharaoh's ice cream parlor, I came home, I was so upset. And he says, you didn't tell me you're going down there. And I said, well, evidently I'm not supposed to, right? But I had met up with my sister, and there was a fabric store next door. And she wanted some fabric. And she says, let's go down, then we'll have ice cream, because she was someone who liked ice cream. Got right in there. I'll never forget how it imprinted in my mind. Even today, I can go back to that day, and I see all the kids at the picnic tables and the moms. And I got a letter from a twin, and the twin got killed. And she says, why didn't you tell us that? And she was kind of mad, and I thought, oh my
Mhm.
God, I was only 24 years old. How was I going to tell anybody? By the way, I have a sense I have to leave. Is it possible a plane's going to fall into this building and kill half the people here? Oh my gosh, how if I knew what was going to happen, you would think I would tell, and who would want to believe me? Okay, I want to get back to your sitting at the kitchen table. Now, at this point, we're just establishing communication. I want you to get comfortable with the idea of automatic writing. Oh, I can't do automatic writing. Well, you don't know until you don't try. And if you don't want to do that, I want you to just be quiet and peaceful. Be receptive to the idea that you're not alone, that we do survive. Be joyous in that. The people who have left, don't be, well, I'm going to say, oh, don't be greedy and sad and feel cheated that they left. You can't do that, because they're the ones that have gone home. You're still stuck in your flesh, and you're supposed to be. I was talking to a group of people, and I was talking about somebody that wanted to commit. Actually, I've saved 3 people by just saying out loud, if you try to commit suicide again, I'm never going to talk to you. Well, if you commit suicide, oh, you'll be here visiting me. I don't want to talk to you. I'll be mad at you. And one lady, I told him, I said, boy, it's quite experiences. If it's not meant for you to leave, no matter what you do, even if you shoot yourself in the face, how many times have we read about people shooting themselves in the head and they live? You know why? Because they're not supposed to die. You're supposed to
Mhm.
be living. And if you cheat what you're supposed to be here for, you ain't going to go, honey.
Mhm.
That's a very, that's a very tough topic. So anyway, what we're trying to do is establish that it is possible, and we do talk to deceased peoples, and we have to rejoice and be happy. Remember, when we're born, our family rejoices. When we die, our spirit family rejoices, and then it's catch up with all the generations. And I'm looking forward to seeing my father, if he is there. I haven't had a sense of him for a few years, and 2 friends I trust say, well, he's come back. I could see that happening, because I've kind of lost that life connection with him. Not with my mother. She'll be sticking around, I'm sure. So when you're sitting there and you've gotten to a place, okay, Nancy, it's quiet, it's dim, lit very lightly, just enough so you don't walk into furniture or walls. I'm sitting at the kitchen table. I'm relaxed. I don't hear Papa snowing down the hallway. The kids are quiet. The neighborhood is quiet. With Char and I like to stay up late, because everybody's quiet and they're not calling, but there's a peacefulness in this. Remember, I did it in the car, but in the car is sometimes where I do my talking or my asking, because the sun coming in is kind of comforting. I will do it in a parking lot, driving sometimes, like I did that day, April 30th, 1990, my birthday. So you
Mhm.
have to find that place that is perfect for you. If you want to write, of course, you can't be driving. The one
Mhm.
thing I do say is ask for somebody and ask for proof. Ask them to hug you or to touch you. Let them step close enough so you can have a scent of their aroma. And we all smell. We have a body smell. And remember, uh, hugging people and just gently smelling their flesh. We have an aroma. We're all different. It's amazing to me. When you ask for someone to show up, and they do show up, be careful not to get so wordy. Oh, I'm so glad you showed up. I have so many questions. You get the piece of paper out, and there's 10 things you want to read to them. Initially, to start the conversation, just say, are you happy?
Mhm.
They're going to say yes. They're going to say yes. Can I have a hug? I love you, and get a love you back. Make it simple because you can always build on that conversation later on. If you're wanting to ask for yourself, build up to it. I would like to ask you a question, or I'd like to ask for help. I would like to ask you to connect with the divine to change a path for me. You start out small so that you get that acknowledgement from them. This is the point. If I have people, women, mostly women I talk to, oh, I just had this big old conversation. They gave me the answers. I said, well, how many questions did you ask? Oh, I says, well, how are they going to respond if you just rattle on and on? Make it simple. Later on, if you get to where you can sense who's in the room, if I just dropped my barrier, just allowed, and I could feel people in here. All you have to do is learn how to relax, as though I'm in this arena of lights and TV and the computer is on and all is happening. If I turned everything off and just relaxed and said, Mom, are you there? I could feel the change in the room of her entering or making her
Mhm.
body larger. They come into the orb, they're very condensed, all of a sudden they, like the man behind me, he just backed off a little bit. He's not hanging over my shoulder, but in some ways that is very exciting because it shows that we do survive. Now, it doesn't mean I want on my flesh anytime soon because I got Shar and I have a lot of projects. She has projects, but I do too. But at the same time, I'm not going to, I will regret leaving family because they will miss me. But at the same time, I get to go home because I'll be done. And I told the universe I work from the rest of my life. Um, he, she, the divine, whatever you call it, God or the universal force, whatever you want to call it, my message, my voice, with a vibration, I will work for you. And those people who know me and love me, I have never wavered. In fact, I can have a conversation and say, I really want to do these things. Yeah, I can't deviate from the path because this is so much of the pledge. Okay, I don't have any problem you asking for yourself. Make it simple. If you ask for someone else, wish that they would ask for themselves for help, meaning you would like to put your energy, visualize the person in your mind. You're talking to spirit people. You want to visualize the individual in your mind, and you want to say, I would like you to help me. Have them ask for help. If you ask help for somebody else, it doesn't mean it's meant to be for them. And I do the same thing. I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. I'd like to help people and do this and that. But at the same time, if I did, then the journey, the quest, the excitement of choice and attaining what they need, that
Mhm.
sometimes you can remember the story is not of what you have, but the quest to get to it. It's like everybody's first house. How hard did you work to get there? How wonderful it was that you obtained that. My first husband, I got a house very early in our marriage because of an inheritance I had, but we remodeled it right away, and we were so proud. It was so tiny, like 600 square feet, and we doubled the size of the house. That conquest and the achievement was amazing. So sometimes the journey isn't to have it, but the journey getting there is. So when you wish for help for somebody else, you have to ask the universe to put an idea in their mind that that's what they want and to have them ask. Because once someone asks for it, then it's in the front of their consciousness. they will create that path for themselves. That's important because we cannot take someone's free will. And by asking for help for them, may take their free will of the journey. So be careful with that. Um, ask for yourself for the higher and better, ask for your higher self and the betterment for your life. Like if I said, well, I've said it a few times, for my higher and better self, I would like a vehicle that I could go camping and write my book in the forest or on the lake shore here. And somehow by thinking of it, I managed, and oh, I do have a loan. I was able to get myself a big van, which I will have to create the inside. But for my higher and better self, and what spirit people were doing was getting me to think of research, how to look. I found myself looking, sorry, I should have closed my email here. Um, they helped me with ideas of where to look. So
Mhm.
during COVID, I bought a car online. Maybe not always the best, Mitsubishi in the Bay Area, but that's how it worked for me. And I got a good deal on it because it was middle of COVID. I wouldn't have thought of it if probably somebody hadn't said to me, I'm doing this with my hand, everybody, listening to RSS, my gestures of, okay, who's talking to me now? Giving you ideas. So you have to put the seed out there and let it grow and have people who know better if they, oh, I see this down the road, get an opportunity. Let's direct her to that. And
Mhm.
then it will happen for her sooner. And
Mhm.
so if you ask for yourself, ask for the seed to be planted or the help to find it. Um, in that wish, uh, remember I said, for my higher and better self for the journey I'm on in this lifetime, I think I need
Mhm.
to have something that helps me get and accomplish this. Now, of course, I'm not a fool. If I won lotto money, that would take the pressure of the stress of life. If I won that, would I then be able to do more readings or not worry about it or meet all the clients I have across the United States in the van? Who knows? But for
Mhm.
my higher and better self, if I were to win lotto, you have to identify how that would help your life. Then the universe can say, remember the machine of the man and near death experience. Those wheels will realign your path so that would happen for you. Okay. And I do believe that's very possible. So in that request, I want you to really think of you in the moment, in the presence of the universe, listening of your family members who could then redirect you to have this happen. I want you to be sincere. You're not just fly by night. You know, how many times have us gone somewhere? Oh, I wish I had a better car. That's not going to do it, girlfriend or gentleman.
Mhm.
What you need it for, plan out what that purpose would be. I know Char's in the market for another RV eventually, but is she ready
Eventually.
for that today? Not today, not yet, because there's a plan that she has in place. Humble and grateful if it can happen. I'll be very grateful. Sincere, being very humble in that sincerity, and then being grateful that it could happen. For my higher and better self, thank you for the van. I will use it wisely to type my books up. I got a little portable. And the quiet. Now I could type in the house, it's quiet. This new neighborhood, this house we just moved into, five, perfect, perfect. The problem is I'm inside a lot. So a little different environment, air is different. Maybe I just feel like that would be good for me. So I put it out there to the universe. And I have an 11-inch computer. I was the eyes closed and type my book up. So little girlfriend in Texas, if you listen to this, yes, I'm getting better, but you can see my eyes are quite not quite. Um, I have inflammation. Sometimes just being older takes longer for your eyes to get better. I had
Mhm.
lenses put in. Anybody doing this refracting? I had stigmatism, but and geez, cataracts. I had that done, but I got new lenses. So my eyes are not adjusted to brightness. So pretty soon, girlfriend in Texas, we'll be talking, writing the book. Um, don't be too wordy. And when you ask yourself, remember, be calm, be thoughtful, be mindful, be sincere, humble, and then grateful that it can happen for you. Ah, and I would mention this if someone else wished for somebody else, wishes they would ask. That's what you ask for. Ask yourself for the higher and better good and for others. You cannot wish for someone else to win the lotto. It's that theory that you cannot just give somebody, it's an old proverb, you can't just give somebody who's hungry fish. You have to teach them how to fish. So if you wish the lotto for somebody, you don't know ultimately how they'll use it. Now, if you were to say, Shar, I'd like you to win the lotto. Let's get repair guy out there to do the backyard. You have to have a plan. You can't just arbitrarily say what's for. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, to have the perception that the universe heard you, including family can redirect you. I want you to visualize the dominoes that people can buy. You know, the dominoes, a set of them, and you
Mhm.
match them up, match them up to create a winning environment. Or if you want to get the dominoes and set them up back, so you can hit one and they all line up. You have to line up the intent and the reason for asking. And the spirit family, if you acknowledge you know who it is, say, would you help me get this? And they can. But if you're changing the mechanism of the choice for the future, then you got to talk to the divine. I made this reference once before. I I don't particularly like spiders. I've had a lot of experiences with nasties, but I do like what spiders are about. They're very organized, and they're in the middle of tree limb foliage, and they'll string out one string and then another, and they'll start in the center, and they'll wrap around their little web of silk, and they go round. And it's actually kind of amazing because a fly or something, the dinner will fly into the web and they will
Mhm.
feel it from the center all the way out. Now they have to get from the center and they have to get to the edge to find their dinner. I'll word it better like that, right? And they will go from one level to another by following the little connectings from one row to the other. There is a plan, and it's not always a straight line. And so the universe has to set up those wheels to adjust to the next level, to the next level, to the outcome of it find its dinner. Well, same for you. If you ask for something, it won't happen overnight. The universe has to set it up. Um, to have the perception the universe heard you, your energy vibration needs to be at a level that you be able to feel the shift. I'd like to invite you to think about the last time you had a shift. You felt something changed. Sometimes it's pretty minute, but there was like, and I remember a few times it happened to me where I felt like, whoosh, what was that? Whoop, what was that? I also admitted I live at the base of there's a big hill of the road coming into the subdivision. And I was leaving the subdivision, I had to stop, and I was going to make a left turn. Well, coming down the hill, these people can speed up. And I thought he was coming down, it was a truck. And I crossed and went into the lane I was supposed to. It has a merging lane on the other side. And just as I got to the other side, this guy was coming really fast. Can't remember if he honked or not, but I got that jolt, like that jolt. And I said, oh my goodness, someone in a pair of life didn't make the turn. I felt really guilty. Did I create the death of somebody? I don't think so. But what I got from that was no more risks. Like the universe had me feel an impact that didn't happen. It was quite
Mhm.
jarring. I don't know how many people have had that. I've had a couple of times when spirit people talk to me about not going forward. And if I had, it would have been an accident. And on
Mhm.
White Avenue, I was stopped at a little place next door to where I got my nails done to get a Circle K, whatever it was, to get a soda. And before I pulled out and I stopped because I didn't feel like I could go forward. And I went, ugh. And the guy was just talking to me. I was the only one in the store. And he goes and he waves at me. And I'm going waving back.
Mhm.
And just as I did that, I heard the sirens of a car chase and the squeaking of tires. And the guy hit the curb to my right. He flew in the air a couple feet, and the police came in after him. And he put on his brakes and boom, and he swirls around. And guess where he landed? He landed in front of me, where if I had pulled up to take a right hand turn out of the parking lot, I would have gotten hit. The universe stopped me from progressing forward. I sat there probably 30 seconds, and this guy inside the store going, what is wrong with that woman? I was so innocent. I was just like, what? what is going on? Well, it wasn't my time.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't meant to. Well, coming
Mm-hmm.
out of subdivision, somebody got hit. It wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
The car, everything jarred, and I went, I'm sorry, whoever, if there's a parallel universe and you got whacked, I'm so sorry. So let me go on. Shar, did anybody write in any note yet? I'm waiting for a couple. I don't know who it is, but
No, but
remember I said
Karen,
go ahead, honey.
right.
What? Did
Karen has a
Karen what?
question.
All right, Karen.
Karen has a question. Here we go. Are you ready for this? She says,
Well,
Nancy, I lost a child when I was 22 years old. You pick up the spirit.
her spirit, do they know if it's a girl?
I don't know. This is you pick up with the spirit.
I put mask in the spirit. Sometimes the soul will come in it's the wrong body. So she had other children and might have come in later. This happened with a client of mine. I was talking to her and she had lost a child at 17. It was her choice to not have pregnancy at that time. And then she had a child later on. I went, wait a minute. That child came back. It was a different body. The first, I think, was a male, and the second was a female. It's an opposite. And so sometimes they will come back. I cannot feel that spirit with you, Karen. It was temporary, or it was the experience of you being pregnant, of loss. That in itself is a whole lifetime. So, no, I don't feel the spirit of that person around you in this moment. If it is, I'm not picking it up. If you had other children, it might have been a child that needed to come back in a different body. And I do believe that happens. Eric Casey talked to that. If there was something wrong with the child, the fetus, or it was the wrong sex, they will stop it and come back. Okay, what else?
That's it. That's what's in there. I want to thank, we have a nice full chat room today. We got
I know it.
Karen's with us. Ann is with us. We got two Michelles with us. Michelle E is with us. And Michelle LeBaron
Susan,
is with us. And Susan's
Michelle.
there.
I
Everybody's
don't
there.
reckon all these kids in here, but I'll keep going. If you have a question, I'm always open to questions.
Absolutely.
Then I want to go to a place here of you're sitting, you're relaxing, you're inviting family people around. I want to be careful not to talk about ugly spirit peoples as much as I'll talk about uninvited or unwelcomed. Because I'll talk to people and I'll see spirit people around somebody I'm talking to. Remember, everything is remote for me. I describe somebody the woman didn't like. I don't want that person here. Yeah. What do I do now? I have no control. That person's there. Well, we never got along. And I go, okay, so, maybe things aren't as bad now for that person, or they want to be forgiven. They're asking. At the moment I pick up the description of somebody, I can only tell you what I'm picking up. And people say, well, Nancy, how do you do this? I go, well, they're going to be there and they're not going to be there. I can only use my vision, so that's it. So removing from your energy harmful people to you. And if you are, what is this here? Wouldn't you know it's something like, well, that's strange. Anyway, Word has put a little indicator here that I need to fix something. Oh, shucks. So when you have energy and you're picking up somebody, and unfortunately we have family members that aren't always the best. And when we feel them in our presence, you have to have intuit why. Are you just coming to visit? There's some family members that have been my past I've never felt. I had an uncle. He moved to Wyoming, no, Idaho, Condale, Idaho, and he passed away. But he and I didn't have, I knew him as a little child, but he wasn't somebody I knew. And if he came into the room, I wouldn't know it was him. That doesn't mean he's a bad or good person. It just means I didn't recognize him. Would I tell him, wait a minute, I don't know who you are, get out of here? They have to give me proof. From your energy, you want to remove harmful people. And if you are harming others, those in spirit who you are calling to do your bidding, do you feel they are worthy for abundance, love, job? it's the strangest thing. I have something to mark a word, paste options. and it's right where I wanted to read a word. So I'm going to remove this. I, but okay, so it's not even letting me. That is the strangest thing.
That is.
I'm talking about, yes, and it's kind of like overgo. Remove from your energy harmful people to you. And if you are doing harm to others, your vibration will not be receptive to spirit kind, nor will they want to help you. So there is something to be said about people who are damaging to others. I had a psychic friend, and she was part of a motorcycle gang, and she said they were bad people, but they're very intuitive. And she said they were mediums and very psychic because they seem to keep themselves out of trouble. That is that group. So that individual is dealing with those people in that environment. But most people I talk to, people visiting me, over the years, I have talked to very few people that were on the shady side of the law. Most of us are just hardworking, down to earth people. Hardworking. I've talked to people who have money, but that doesn't mean they're happy. Hardworking people. Um, do they
We have
do they feel you are worthy for abundance? Are you worthy when you ask? Do you feel like if you ask for abundance or better car, are you worthy or are you greedy? Make sure you know, because if you feel like you're just greedy and you think you deserve it, but you have only desire for your higher and better self, do you even deserve that? You want to ask for love in your life. So you want to ask for somebody to come into your life for the higher and betterment of your lessons or not lessons, because I for your life experiences. You want someone to help make you better, and you want to have someone come in that you can help them be a better person. It doesn't mean you become bossy. It means that you feed off each other's likes and dislikes to make each other better. So sometimes just saying I want a husband isn't going to be good enough because anybody coming into your world you're going to accept may be the wrong person. If you ask for a job, line out what you want to do next. This job here, this what I do was so unknown to me. We were intuitive with, and so I come in here and I asked to work for the rest of my life. When I realized what this environment could do, what I asked for was why do bad things happen to good people? And I deal with good people and I help them through bad times. So it's just not me, it's everybody. Um, oh, sure, I'm going too long here.
We have a question. There's a question in the chat room.
Okay.
It's from Michelle E. I have a question. My parents are gone since 2016, but my mother has never connected. My dad has many times. Is there a reason a parent may not choose to connect with an adult child?
There is a woman standing right next to you. She was a slimmer lady and she got heavy. She got just a little 10, 15 pounds heavier. And I see her on with a smooth colored outfit on. Sometimes I can't tell, but she has a small belt on, little belt, and she's quite pleasant. She's contemplative and witnessing. So I don't know how much input or who this is. I don't know if it's mother or grandmother vibration. Very soft, silky kind of material with little flowers on it or little pattern. So it could be a grandmother because grandparents, like mother's gone, maybe the grandparent with this woman. She has a little heel on. Don't know if I'm describing your mother's because I don't know your age or what group this was. But the feeling of mother witnessing and not want to interfering, because I do feel like she's been around. And she does have a scent. Let me think how I word this. A soft scent. I like Irish Spring, but I do put Dove on. I like coconut smell for my hair. Kind of like altogether is too much, but she has such a faint scent to her. So I do feel like you would be able to have a sense of her scent. Dad
She
would
says
be
it's her
more not
grandmother.
aggressive. I described
Grandmother.
the grandmother. I
She
described the
thinks so. Yeah.
grandmother.
She thinks so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But I have felt mother around also. She does come in quickly. This grandmother has been around a lot. Curious, Michelle, did I describe mother's mother or father's mother? Are you seeing that chat room, Shar?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Did
watching.
she answer? Answer
Definitely.
quickly,
Yeah.
Shar.
Her mom liked Chanel number 5.
Go smell Chanel number 5, and then ask mom. I want to know if you're around. I don't
Yeah.
feel like she's come back, not at all. Um,
Hmm.
be curious. I don't want to get into it too long. Sometimes if they've only been gone a short while, they may be visiting a lot of family.
Okay. She says
Um,
fathers. She says fathers. Father's mother.
a lot of times people like myself will start describing family members who are connected. That's not
Hmm.
surprising. For some reason, I felt maybe she was telling me to ask, like
Hmm.
this is father and mother. Sometimes I'll describe a couple come in and find out they've been married to each other. Remember, I'm just giving you visuals. So
Hmm.
I do feel like these people around us, not always are they interfering or trying to direct us. Not interfering, that's the wrong word. I've got to hurry up, everybody. I've got a little bit more to do. Um, uh, do you call to yourself spirit who will help you to continue your path of unhappiness or destruction? Wow, that's a really hard one. Do you blame someone in the family for your unhappiness or destruction? I think sometimes we have to realize that we're here for experiences. I had a flash of myself after in the afterlife talking to relatives, and what I heard was, well, what did you do there? What kind of experience did you have? So it's not lessons, it's not making up bad karma. Karma comes around in our own lifetime, everybody. It ain't going, excuse me, isn't going to go from one time to another. What we will carry, and I use Shara's experience because her past life we did together, it was unsatisfied success. That doesn't mean there was anything bad about it. So a lot of us, if you do something bad in one lifetime, we go next lifetime have to pay back. A lot of times it's a faint lifetime. Only a couple of times have I really felt like now soulmates will take turns coming back and forth. Absolutely. Destruction, that's really hard. I think you suffer in your lifetime, especially toward the end of your lifetime. We will have troubling thoughts and uncomfortable lives because of the bad we did. In those times, unfortunately, we can go through our own personal hell. After in afterlife, you sometimes will have to emotionally buckle down and cocoon yourself until you work it out in your mind. Troubled times. Troubling family members. Ask for the wisdom to know how to help these people mentioned. You can ask for your family in spirit to soften the energy of these family members to be receptive to talk to them. Absolutely. That's happened quite a few times. You need to wait and see and have them apologize first to know that the family members in spirit have addressed them. And that has happened. Just recently, a woman who had trouble with family, the brother who was giving her the most trouble called and reached out with the white flag and said, wait a minute. And so God, say her names out loud. That's not fair. So I feel like the father who passed away last did approach the son and said, wait a minute, you kids need to have a better relationship. um, be kind and loving to said unhappy spirits. So if you have family members showed up and you thought, oh, they gave us so much grief, be loving and supportive and say, I'm sorry that you suffered. Would you like to do something positive? You can help me in my journey. Open doors for me. Let me see. And then you ask, well, how will you know? Well, synchronicitous situations coming over and over. I just wrote a note to my son tonight about street names and how the coincidences of repetitiveness. I live on a street now that I lived on um, 40 years ago. And there's so many coincidences in my life. You go, wow, was I supposed to pay attention? Absolutely pay attention. Repetitive numbers. I've been seeing 11, 11, 11 everywhere. It's crazy. New beginnings, possibly. New career paths. I'm starting books. I've been reading, um, starting the girl in Texas and I getting really into writing books, editing audio tapes. So new beginning for me on doing all these projects. So looking for those coincidences and synchronicities. I have a lady that
Hmm.
that will ask a question, get in the car, drive somewhere, and she looks at the first license plate she sees, and she's into numerology and astrology, not astrology, but numbers and coincidences. And she gets her answers by looking at license plates. Well, to me, that's kind of risky, but yet that's how she does her life. Um, it will take some time for your story to unfold and be patient. We are impatient peoples. We all want everything yesterday. Um, people who need monies for issues today. I'm talking to several people now. Wow, I could use it today. The universe may take longer than you want and present these monies after the event you are struggling through. And that's because they can't get it too fast enough. Perhaps the greatest reward is for you to make it through or to change your life. And then the monies will enhance you after the fact. Sometimes we think, oh my gosh, today I need the money. I'm frustrated. But yet those energies will create the money to come to you. And it's not always the amount you want. It's not always where you think it's going to come from, but it can come to you when you least expect it. And so I want to add this again as last. For my higher and better self, if possible, may I experience a better job or monies or a deserving partner, etc. For my higher and better self, start out loud. If possible, may I experience a better job, monies, and partner. So kind of remember that. Always be humble. Okay. Oh my goodness, almost 8 o'clock, everybody. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
And all right, we done it.
Good show. Good show. Quick reminder for everybody is that give me about an hour to an hour and a half so I can get over to the meetup and do an update. Nancy and I will be, well, I'm not going to be doing the readings, of course. Nancy, I will be hosting on Sunday the 17th, which is the Sunday after next. Nancy is going to be doing winter solstice readings for people. And you can ask any, yes?
Monday. I thought you were going to mention Monday.
Oh, yes. And Monday, we're getting there. Give me a second. I'm working over. And so, yeah, that'll be Sunday the 17th. And you can ask, like I said, winter solstice is a time when you can look back and look forward at the same time. So it's kind of like New Year's, right? So it's a way to look back, to reflect on your life, and it's a way to look towards the future. And Nancy is willing to do some readings on that for you guys if you want. So give me, like I said, about an hour and a half. I'm going to have dinner after the show. And then I'll get back on the meetup and I'll set that up for you guys. You can sign up to the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team meetup. And then if everything goes well, I will have a link for you guys to sign up on the on the radio website. Okay, if everything goes well tonight, which it never does, but we'll we'll get that together. So yeah, if that sounds like something you would like to do on Sunday,
that'd be fun.
A week from Sunday, come on in and do that. Nancy will do those readings for you. Okay, Monday, Nancy's coming back because we're just going to have a fun day of readings. We're just going to do a reading show. We're just going to throw them out there and
Well, we have to say sometimes
questions.
the guest doesn't come through, and I go, "Oh, put me in. We'll just do some readings." And I found that to be fun as long as it's enjoyable, because the hardcore stuff, that's a private session. If you call up and ask something really heavy duty, not only will it take too much time, but you're getting the audience to hear all your story, and that's hard, everybody.
And just to let you know, and along that line, when we do the event on the 17th, this isn't going to go out public over Facebook or anywhere. This is going to be a private room over a street for you guys. Okay, so everything that's said stays there, and you don't have to worry about your personal business going everywhere. All right.
That's the 17th, but Monday.
That's the 17th. Monday is a public.
Yeah,
we're here. I'm just throwing things out there. Okay, I will be back on Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, reading our Scary Christmas Story book by Sylvia Schultz. So if that sounds like something you enjoy doing, just kind of slide into your, slide out of the weekend and slide into your work week. Come on over, and I'll be reading for an hour from that book. And wow, there are some stories that'll curl your toes in there. I'll tell you, curl your toes. All right. Well, that being said, I'm going to book out of here. Michelle, I don't know, Michelle E. I want to thank you for the donation the other day. I really appreciate it. That's great. Helps keep me on the air and keeps the show going. Couldn't do it without you guys. All right. Well,
thank you for showing up, everybody.
I'll give you Nancy's contact information and all that good stuff. And I will see you guys on Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific. So here we go. Push the right button, right? There we go. Websites, nancymatz.com, all lowercase. You got nancymatzauthor.com. The N, the M, and the A is caps. You got youtube.com /NancyMatzPsychic. The N, the M, and the P. And she's got some books out. Help, Get Me Out of This Funk is one of the books. Nancy Matz. Two Worlds, Developing Your Psychic Skills. And The Unwilling Sacrifice. And of course, you can get those at Amazon. All right,
I've
everyone. I
had
will
fun
see you
tonight,
Sunday.
everybody.
Okay, we're out of here. Bye bye.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Shar too. Bye bye.